Nice of you to drop in.
Hello people, I am the Comic Book Gamer. Today I will be counting down my top 5 favorite fights in superhero movies. Now, since I can't show the fights on screen because of copyright reasons, I will be putting links in the description to watch all the different fights if you want to. So yeah, let's get into it. Starting off with number 5 is the Wolverine funeral fight. Now, I'm talking about the director's cut version of this fight because it's way more bloody and it has like his claws actually go straight through people. It was awesome because if I wasn't talking about the director's cut, then I would definitely have another fight in this slot. But the director's cut adds so much. Like, even though it's just claws and blood, it looks so good. Like, I loved it. I finally got to see Wolverine go sort of ish all out. Like, I liked the dynamic of this fight considering his healing factor was severely slowed down. Like, he got shot and he'd be down for like a good 20 seconds, being like just freaking out, not knowing what to do because, you know, his healing factor's not working. Also, he fought smart. He fought like an actual guy that studied martial arts for a while, not like some idiot like in pretty much all the other X-Men movies. He fought like an idiot. It was still kind of cool to see him fight, but he fought like an idiot with claws, like how I imagine I would fight if I had Wolverine claws. That's how, to me, Wolverine fought in the other X-Men movies, not like this trained weapon like he did in the Wolverine. Like, he's fighting smart, he's going around, he's doing rolls, he's blocking, he took a guy and used him as a human shield when someone was shooting at him. That was awesome, and it was a good, brutal, intense, smart fight, and I love seeing that in the Wolverine. And also during this fight, the cinematography was great, which I generally don't say because I'm not one of those people that's like a cinephile. It's like, oh, well, I see that shot was exquisite. No, just, it really stood out to me. I thought it was really good how, like, the shots were done and everything. I just love the cinematography, and this fight was just overall great. I loved it. Now, the top 4 are like neck and neck, but I have to put them in an order. So, number 4 is the Spider-Man vs. Dr. Octopus fight on the train in Spider-Man 2. Now, that fight is so good, and the whole time you have the Danny Elfman's theme in the background. Even today, it still holds up, even with like CGI Spider-Man, that one part like CGI Dr. Octopus, it still holds up. It's such an amazing fight and so intense, and it's like such a comic book fight. I loved it. It's so good. Like, there's 2 guys fighting on a train, and it's a superhero and a supervillain. They even fight on the side of a train for a part of it. And that one part where Spider-Man gets knocked off the train onto the road, and then he has to web sling back on it, was awesome. Because, you see, it's all one shot, and watching Spider-Man, like, climb up this building and then swing and then get back on the train was amazing. And it was so good. And you even have him saving people. You have, like, everything you want in a superhero fight. It's so good. And then, you know, at the end, he had to stop the train and let Dr. Octopus get away. It's just an amazing fight, and like everything's so on point. Even the sound effects are like they remind me sort of the Indiana Jones classic sound effects, which are some of my favorite punching sound effects because it's so like just in your face punching sound effects. It's not like, you know, realistic punching sound effects or anything. It's just like the whap, like the sound effects you would make with your mouth when you're punching someone. I don't know why I said whap, that wasn't even close, but you know what I mean, like the sound effect you make with your mouth when you think of punching someone. That's that type of sound effect, and I just love it, and it's so good, and that's why the Spider-Man vs. Dr. Octopus fight is number 4. Number 3 is the Captain America vs. Winter Soldier fight scene, the one that takes place right after the highway attack, because that's my personal favorite in the movie. It's so good. I'm just going to get my 2 gripes out of the way first for this fight. Number 1, Captain America is not wearing his Captain America suit. He's just wearing like khakis and a jacket. Number 2, Winter Soldier was a ghost up until this fight scene. People are like, is he really real or not? Black Widow had heard rumors about him, but now he's attacking Captain America in broad daylight where every single person has a cell phone. Besides that, the fight is amazing, and those are just minor gripes. The fight scene is amazing. It was very Bourne inspired, but to me, that's, why wouldn't you be inspired by Bourne? Bourne is some of the best fight scenes in any movie. Like, they're so good, and Captain America just amped it up because, you know, in Bourne, where it's like a character I think is cool, and it's freaking Captain America fighting the Winter Soldier, and the fight scene is arguably the most intense part of the entire movie. To me, it is the most intense. It's so good, and the MCU really needs to learn from it because this fight scene is like 10 times more intense than pretty much any other MCU fight besides like the Iron Man 1 fights and like the Incredible Hulk fights. But everything other fight, it is way more intense than because like there's no one cracking jokes during this fight. Black Widow, who was cracking jokes in the beginning of the movie, is now not cracking jokes because those people she was fighting earlier were no like challenge to her. This guy is a master assassin that was a myth until like 3 seconds ago. She is freaking out because this guy's like gonna come and kill her. And then Captain America comes, and the thing that I thought was really cool also was the fact that these are two forces of nature. Like the Winter Soldier is a force of nature, and he can only be stopped by Captain America. And I think that made it so awesome. No one else could stop the Winter Soldier but Captain America, and that was amazing. And the fight, the choreography was amazing. The sound effects were great. The music was just fantastic. Everything about this fight, well, pretty much everything about this fight was perfect. I loved it. And again, like I said, the top 4 fights on this list are like neck and neck. They are so close. So yeah, that's why that is at number 3. Number 2 is the first fight between Batman and Bane in The Dark Knight Rises, because the second one is complete crap. But before I get into why I love this fight, I'm going to address a few problems that people have with this fight. One of them is a problem that people have with the whole Dark Knight series in general, is the fact that they're like, it's not Batman, it's not my comic book Batman, it's just not him, which is understandable. It's not. While they are somewhat similar, it's not Batman from the comics. And how I enjoy this movie and all these Dark Knight movies is the fact that I go into it and I look at it as a realistic Elseworld story. That's how it is for me. I don't think of it as my Batman. I don't think of it as like the Jeff Loeb Hush Batman. I don't. If I do, I won't enjoy it because it'll be like, this is not even close to comic book Batman. But thinking of it as an Elseworld story just makes me enjoy the movie so much more, and that's the way to me everyone should watch the movie that's a big comic book fan, because it'll make you enjoy the movie so much more. And another complaint people have is the whole fighting aspect of him. But like, why is he taking these wide swings and stuff? Why is he so slow? First off, he's been out for 8 years, and he's a lot older than he was in Dark Knight. He's aged a lot. He hasn't trained in forever, and he's fighting a guy who's been like fighting every day of his life when Batman hasn't trained in 8 years. So yeah, that's gonna make you a bit slower. Number 2 is the fact that Bane is giving him open shots. If Bane was giving me open shots, I wouldn't do little jabs. I would do the widest friggin' swing I could and get as much power as I could to try and knock Bane out. That's what Batman's doing. And also it shows the smarts of Bane, because Bane lets him get those shots in because he knows that Batman will take these wide swings that are powerful to hit him. So later on in the fight, when Batman does the same thing, Bane blocks it because Batman expects him to let him hit him, but he doesn't. I just thought that was really smart of Bane. You saw the tactician of Bane mid-fight, and that was awesome. Now on to why I absolutely love this fight. A big reason is because Chris Nolan had the balls to say, you know what, no music for this fight. Because if you look at it, he had arguably the best composer in modern day to make the music. And he decided to say no. For like one of the most epic fight scenes of all time, he's like, no music. And that to me ramped up the intensity so much, having there no music. And intensity to me is a big key aspect of any awesome fight scene. And the no music just made it so much more intense, with Batman fighting Bane, and you're hearing their punches, you're hearing like them stepping on the metal bridge, you're hearing the water flow from the waterfall and everything. You hear every single thing, you hear every bone break, and it's amazing. It's so good. And when I first saw this, I watched it on an IMAX screen, and you know, the IMAX had the freaking amazing speakers, and it was on a 7-story tall IMAX screen, and it was shot in IMAX. So like the first time I ever saw this, it blew my mind. This fight scene, not the movie, the fight scene. I'm talking purely about this fight scene, and it was just so good. And how Bane breaks Batman. He even told him beforehand during the fight that he was going to break him. Even when he told him that, I didn't think he was going to do it. And then he did it. And this was early on in the movie. I was just like, holy crap. He broke Batman early on in the movie. This is like, boom, this put the thought into your head that maybe Batman's gonna die, maybe. This was such a big, emotional, intense fight scene, and I loved it. And again, people complain about the choreography, like, you know, he's not doing flips and stuff. But you just have to accept that that is not this Batman. This Batman's not comic book Batman. He's Christopher Nolan's Batman. And it was so good. I loved seeing the Nightfall shot. It was so good. It was like page for page of Nightfall, and it looked so good. I loved seeing him break Batman over his knee and hearing his spine crack. It was just such an awesome fight scene. And say what you will about Bane's voice, but I personally loved it. And during this fight, it was better than ever. Because again, there was no music, so all you heard was Bane's voice and him talking and how he like just took down Batman with practically no effort was amazing. Because when Batman pulled out his gadgets, I was like, okay, Batman's gonna make his comeback. But then he just grabs Batman by the throat when Batman tries to sneak up on him and takes him down, and then like takes his cowl off and just like throws it down the ground like, yeah, just another Tuesday, no big deal. I just took down Batman. The fight was just, it was great and amazing, and just I loved it. Number 1 is Superman versus Zod in Man of Steel, the final fight scene. It's so good. Now, same for Dark Knight as I did for Dark Knight Rises, I'm going to be addressing some complaints that people have with this fight scene. And I'm starting to notice a trend. People have problems with DC fights, but maybe that's just me. I don't know. I just notice people seem to harp on DC fights a lot more than Marvel fights. Anyways, let's start off. So the first thing is, for some reason, people think that Superman punched Zod into a lot of buildings, even though if you actually pay attention to the fight, he doesn't punch Zod into one building. The only property damage that is caused directly by Superman is when he takes Zod's head and grinds it on the side of a building. That's it. The rest is all Zod. That is Zod's doing. Zod punches Superman through buildings, not the other way around. When Superman is punching the crap out of Zod, that's in open airspace. He never punches him into a building. But for some reason, people are seeing things when they watch this fight, and they think Superman's causing tons of property damage. I don't know why, but people seem to see things. Another thing is, people think, why didn't Superman try to take the fight elsewhere? Well, remember that part where they flew up into space and then Zod sent a satellite straight into Superman? Yeah, that was Superman trying to take the fight somewhere else. It didn't work out well. Zod sent a satellite into Superman. It didn't work out so well when he tried to take the fight somewhere else. Another thing is, for some reason, people think that Superman is an adult and Zod is a child because they're like, why doesn't Superman do this, or this? No, Superman is fighting someone who he is barely more powerful than Superman. The only reason he's more powerful is the fact that he's been on the Earth longer, so he's had more time to soak up the sun. So he's barely more powerful than this guy. But Zod's got the advantage because Zod is smarter when it comes to battle tactics since he's military trained, which also makes him a better fighter. And Superman has the advantage of he's a bit more powerful and he knows how to use his powers better. That's it. Another thing is, they're like, why is he so reckless when he fights? Superman just learned to fly the other day and he's never punched a person in his life. What do you think he's going to do? Be an instant master? The only thing he's mastered is his, hearing and sight. That's it. Flying and punching, he does not know how to use because he's never done it before. Well, he just learned in this movie, and people automatically expect him to be a master. I don't know why. Now, let's get into why I absolutely love this fight scene. First up, the lead up. Oh, well, first off, the lead up. The lead up to this is amazing, to where Zod gives that, to me, it's my favorite speech in any superhero movie given from a villain. It's so good when he's like, my soul, that's what you have taken from me. He goes absolutely nuts. You see that something is broken in Zod's mind. Before, he could at least control himself. Now, it's all gone. So Zod's just going crazy, and the whole fight, you're thinking, how's Superman gonna stop him? Because, they're just punching each other, and neither is, really taking any damage. They're just keep on punching each other. And then the ending is my favorite scene in any superhero movie ever. It's so intense. When I went into this movie, I didn't think, Superman's gonna kill Zod. When I came out of it, I was like, oh my gosh, that was amazing. He killed Zod. It wasn't some stupid thing to where, oh, well, the villain's in prison. Or some Disney ending to where, oh, the villain, tripped and fell into a pit of fire. What a shame. No. Superman had to make a decision, otherwise people were going to die, and it was amazing, and I do sort of consider that a part of the fight a bit, because, that is the very end of the fight. They're still struggling, they're still fighting, so the scene where Superman kills Zod is still part of the fight, in my opinion. But even if it's not, I still would consider this the best fight in any comic book movie. It's so good. It's just something from the comic. It's so comic booky. I love it. It was like watching War of the Supermen, and I just, oh my gosh, that fight was so good, and just punching each other, and it was, I'm just fanboying out right now, because it's Superman, and of course I have a bias to Superman. He's my favorite. That's why this is my list, because that's why Superman's on top. It's my list. Superman's my favorite. Of course I'm going to have him at number 1. So yeah, that's my top 5 favorite fights in all of comic book movie history. Please let me know in the comments below, what are your guys' top 5 favorite fights in superhero movies? And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like.